Perfect Turd Podcast, episode 84, Lamar. We have a special guest,
Yes, we
Mr.
do.
James Balsamo.
Hey everybody, James Balsamo here, kicking it up a notch on this Saturday, talking about my new movie, It Wants Blood.
Yes, we did a review of it. So I say that this movie is a political, underlying, it's themed with like the corruption, political and stuff like that. Of course, it has monsters and breasts in it, but the underlying theme, political corruption, that's how I feel about this movie.
Yes, thank you for that beautiful review, guys. So, what
Yeah.
I mean? You guys said it all. I'm one of those filmmakers, I never like to point out the obvious of what I did, but you guys hit it on the head, so.
It was
That's
a
what
fun
we
one,
do.
definitely, for sure. But we have to start going back of what got you into movies, in particular, just doing your own thing, making your own movies.
So I always wanted to be in horror movies since I was a little kid. I watched Friday the 13th Part 3 with my dad, and I wanted to be the guy behind the mask, as Alice Cooper says, the man behind the mask. And so I went to acting school at a young age because I wasn't good at sports, and I wasn't really good at math or science. And, my parents were like, you got to do something in life because sports aren't the answer. You're getting hit in the head with the soccer balls. You're getting hit in the head with a softball. You know what I mean? And we don't want you to end up doing gay porn and getting hit with some other kind of balls. So, why don't you do a little bit of acting? And I said, oh, okay, cool. I could be like, Jason in Friday the 13th. And so, up until college, I was in different prestigious acting schools. I got into Professional Performing Arts High School, which is the Fame movie, and a whole bunch of Lee Strasberg I studied at, and all these fun, prestigious acting schools. But I wanted to do horror movies because that's what I liked. I liked, Freddy Krueger and Jason and Michael Myers, Leatherface. And so I wanted to be like a kind of slasher character, but nobody I knew was making horror movies. It was weird. The New York scene, I just couldn't find my tribe. You know what I mean? So I went to work at a comic book store, and somebody brought in a copy of The Toxic Avenger Part 2, and they go, hey, Troma's hiring in the city, and I went, the guys that made the Toxic Crusaders, I used to watch that cartoon as a kid,
Yeah.
and they said, yeah. And so on that Friday I called, and by Monday I was working for Troma for free, and I quit my comic book job, and I was taking out Lloyd Kaufman's trash, and I picked up every, little niche note in the book, and I made my own movie.
Awesome.
That got picked up for distribution all over the U.S. and Canada. That was Hack Job, that had Lloyd Kaufman in it, Lynn Lowry, Debbie Rochon, and the late Otis Rungus, a.k.a. Dave Brocky from Guar, in it. And that was it. That started my career. I've produced over 30 feature films since then, and still cranking them out.
I definitely want to ask about Hack Job, because Hack Job, to me, like the way it starts off, you basically kidnap the art house typical director. And you basically have a chainsaw and a machete to this person's neck and everything like that. And you kind of answered this question, but so do you feel like this is like your niche? Because it feels like you're just against like the whole art house scene, and you're just making your B movies, making what you want to make. Like, do you ever think you'll cross over to that, or this is just what you're doing just for
You
all the
know
time?
what? I it's funny because I do like art house films. You know what I mean? Because I am a cinephile and I love beautiful cinematography. I'm anti pretentiousness.
Yeah.
I hate when somebody, is like, oh, I made this beautiful product, and then they have an air about them where they're like, oh, I know what a Dutch tilt and canted angle are. And you're like, that's the same thing. So what do you really know? You know what I mean? So I despise that. And so that's why I really make fun of the life and death of an avocado in Hack Job. You know what I mean? This black and white noir kind of film where she's like smoking, and that's the whole, I went to film school. I know German expressionism and I know it all, but I don't run around and go, hey, I'm better than you. You know what I mean? I could still get a girl naked and have a rubber monster and still have a beautiful angle. I don't understand why everybody has to have that air about them in art house films. But some filmmakers don't. You know what I mean? Some people know how to make a fun movie and make fun of themselves, and that's what it's all about. If you can't laugh at yourself, why do it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and that kind of goes into the B movie question, because we've seen you in other people's B movies as an actor, and we've seen some of the people you collaborate with, Joe Castro, a few times and stuff. So, what is it like with the B movie community? Everyone really just kind of, it seems like everyone works together and helps each other out. It's cool.
It's great. You know what I mean? It's funny. Like I said, I never really found my tribe until I had a great film community in New York, and luckily when I moved to LA, I managed to meet all these new fun people, and it is really small, like Joe Castro, and like I'm having a premiere at the Chinese Theater on Monday for It Wants Blood, and anytime anybody has a premiere in Los Angeles in the horror community, it's the same faces. You know what I mean? It's like a family kind of picnic. You're like, oh, look, here's Uncle Joe, and there's Al Burke, and like all the same
Nice.
people. You know what I mean? And then trickles in like new people here and there, and then somebody scoops them up, and then they're in the rotation. They're in the blender. It's really funny.
Now, we got to talk about the name of your production company, Acid Bath Productions. Where did that come from? Where did the name come from?
It comes from the Italian horror film Beyond the Darkness, about the incestual brother and sister that murder people and put them in an acid bath. I used to make movies under Tortured Soul Productions. I had made a bunch of short films under that title, and I had released a compilation like 2 years ago called Mind Melters, and that's got my first 30 short films, which I made before Hack Job, and it's got some music videos and stuff on there, and a lot of them are under Tortured Soul. So I had a girlfriend at the time that was like, if you're going to make it, you're going to have to change your name. And I had watched that Beyond the Darkness movie, and I was like, oh, Acid Bath. And then it's funny because people tell me all the time, oh, you know, Acid Bath's a band, which I like, but that actually had nothing to do with it. But it was cool. I got Sammy from Acid Bath to do a cameo in The Lich. So that tied Acid Bath and Acid Bath all together.
Nice. You do get a lot of musicians and bands and stuff, with Gwar and some of the other bands and stuff, which is all totally cool. To kind of go off of that community vibe with the movies and everything, and also musicians. So really like that.
It's funny. It's really a snake that eats itself, right? Like the Misfits have a song, like songs about horror movies, and then people listen to the Misfits while they make horror movies, and so it's the snake eating itself. So
Now, we got to ask this, because a person that we have admired for so long is Eric Roberts. What is it like working with the man, the myth, the legend, Eric Roberts?
he's great. After every take, he does this. He does the air trumpet for after every take.
Wow.
And then he goes, every like 6 takes, he goes, I think that might have been my best performance in my whole career. You know what I mean? So he's funny. He's a guy that can totally laugh at himself. He knows what he's doing. And it's funny because Eric Roberts actually changed the whole tone of It Wants Blood. So through my career, I had only made one kind of real serious horror film. I Spill Your Guts is the only one that kind of borders on a horror thriller, and the rest are all horror comedies. So It Wants Blood was meant to be like a David Cronenberg kind of homage, like dark,
Right.
you know, monster kind of twist, until Eric Roberts got involved and he saw those witch doctors and that severed head, and he goes, I can't play this seriously because people think I'm like doing a bad job, like it's like bad acting. And I was trying to explain to him, no, it's like 50s movies where you have this cheesy monster on fishing wire like the Bat, and people are terrified of this thing like it's a real monster. You know what I mean? But he wouldn't have it. He was like, I can't. People are gonna think I'm doing a bad job, so I'm gonna go over the top. And he starts kissing the head. And what are you going to do? Eric Roberts kissing a severed head, you know what I mean, that I made. I can't say no to that. So then I was like, all right, we're going cheesy. Here we go.
Nice.
You know what I mean? But actually, you guys have seen the movie, so that scene where he's on the stage, that has kind of a dark undertone. That was filmed before that witch doctor scene. So that kind of actually is why that tone is like a little darker and a little serious, which I think works in the movie because it kind of accents the ending of the film. But that was kind of the tone that I had wanted until Eric Roberts was like,
nice.
no.
That's great.
That's a crazy story. So he just like, no, we're going silly with this one. Okay.
Yeah, he said we're going silly. So, so then I started hamming it up, you know what I mean? So I was like, all right, I guess we're all going
nice.
Cheese ball. But that's fine. I mean, what do you want from a monster movie, right?
Yeah, exactly. So It Wants Blood. Now, it's available on DVD, like at Walmart, I've seen. Mm-hmm. And it's available on your platform, your Vimeo platform, on demand. So can you talk a little bit about, like, you're mostly like a self-distributing, and you do like crowdfunding and stuff as well? Can you talk about like that whole get up there?
No, I've never done crowdfunding.
Okay.
I used to tour the country before COVID and sign autographs as a celebrity guest at conventions. I was doing that for about 7 years. And that's how I made a lot of my films. I would make the money from the conventions and then I'd put it right back into the movie. And so it's kind of like that snake that eats itself. You know what I mean? And so when COVID hit, I started producing a lot more films and, taking blood money to make different films like that and stuff like that. But the company is mine and I don't self-distribute. I work with Allied Vaughn.
Okay.
So I'm a distributor through that company, and they distribute Fox, Sony. They're actually putting out Godzilla versus Kong, which is funny because they'll put out It Wants Blood. So it's like from the people that gave you this, give you Acid Bath Productions, It Wants Blood.
Cool.
Hey man, however you can make it and stuff like that, because I feel like things are changing for film because more people are kind of getting into like. Not even just self-distribution, but it's like, it's easier. I won't say easier. The resources for making a movie are like, can you get people together? Do you have a camera and everything like that? It's more so about like not going to the big companies, but what can you like produce yourself basically?
Yeah. It's definitely a strange time. You know what I mean? Luckily, I'm a little bit ahead of the curve because I've been making movies for 15 years. So I kind of know how it's done and what I can do. And you know what I mean? I always say I'm a guy that knows people from New York, so I get things done a little differently. You know what I mean? So, I have a little bit of an advantage like that. And what's nice is that Acid Bath, my company, is a distributor. So whatever I make goes straight to Walmart, Best Buy. A lot of independent filmmakers come to me and say, how do you do it? And I say, I'm a distributor, work with me. You know what I mean? I could help you, but people, they don't hear that for some reason. I'm like, no, I'm the key to Walmart, me.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to make a movie, I can help you get it into stores. And they just walk away. It's crazy. I'm like, you're saying, how do you do it? I'm telling you, I've already walked the path. Now I have the key to the gate. Come work with me. You know what I mean? Because I have no ego. I've done it 30 times. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, that's why I started working with Bill Victor Arukin, who's in It Wants Blood and Alien Danger, my new kids movie, with Raven Van Slender and Seth Doc Ramon, because these guys, they want to be in movies and, you know what I mean? They wanted to make a movie. And so we partnered up, and Craig Muckler from Microwave Massacre, I did the same thing. And Ozzy Capri on 14 Ghosts. So there's people that come to me, but like in the grand sense of all these independent filmmakers, it's like, if you want to make a movie that's going to be in Walmart, I'm your guy. Come to me.
Nice. So you mentioned, so we can't keep you too long because you're in the middle of a shoot. Can you talk about what's coming up?
Today's my last day on Alien Danger 2 with Ray Van Slender. And that's got Rob Halford from Judas Priest.
Right on. Nice.
And it's got a whole bunch of other people from Star Trek, and Tommy Chong's in the first one. So
cool. So what's the schedule? When are we expecting that to come out?
Hopefully the first one will be out in September, and the sequel will be in October. So we shot them kind of back to back so we could piggyback them.
Oh,
So.
cool. Well, we'll have to put that on our list our watch
and
list,
that's my
Lamar.
first kids movie, so unfortunately there's no nudity, but there are some really fun, wacky stop animation monsters and puppets, and Joe Castro made some stuff, and I made some stuff, so there's some really cool, fun aliens in that too.
We don't need boobs all the time. We can appreciate all cinema. We can do
Well,
this.
as much as I don't agree with that.
Yeah, I was about to say.
I have put my desires aside and made 2 children's films.
There you go. Yes. Awesome. So.
Oh, man, Lamar. Good one, Lamar.
Hey, what? I'm just trying to appreciate all the arts.
Yeah.
There you go. So, yeah, man. So.
Right on. Well, I guess we'll let you get back because you got work to do today, but we're glad you were able to come on with us today.
Thanks, guys. And fly out to LA Monday. You're invited to the premiere at the Chinese Theater, but you've seen it already, so
right on.
You know what you're getting.
Where could everyone connect with you online, the fans and whatnot?
Find me on Instagram at James Balsamo or Twitter at Acid Bath Product. Find me on Facebook. I want to be your friend, James Balsamo. And if you want to make a movie, let me know. I have distribution, so come on down.
Cool, man.
Absolutely,
thank you, sir.
Man.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Peace.
man. Peace.
Have a good one, guys. See ya.